It's about time to make this chopper rev like it's supposed to. Let's do it. For starters, I'll show you what I've already done and what else needs to be done. So, I want to make an internal throttle, and yes, they do exist for sale ready-made. Plus, old Harleys and a bunch of other bikes come with such throttle handles from factory. But I on principle want to make a homemade one from scrap metal. So basically, we have one pipe in which we'll leave the slider to which the cable is attached. On top of this pipe, we have another pipe. When we rotate the outer pipe in relation to the inner pipe, the slider and cable are pulled back. Then, due to the spring motion, everything will return back to the original position. In order to reduce the friction of the slider's pivots so it doesn't rub dry on these edges, I'll use these small bearings. I have no idea what these bearings are from, one awesome person gave them to me. Anyways, they will sit like this. When the handle is turned, the slider will not slide rubbing directly along the outer tube, but the bearings will rotate. We'll have threads here, and this throttle handle will be sort of universal. I mean, if suddenly I want to change this handlebar, I'll remove the entire throttle handle and put it on another bar. I bought this cable in the store, it's doubled on the exit. I guess it's from some kind of scooter. One cable was longer, the other was shorter, so I brought them to equal length, solder them, so now I'll have a cable with a splitter. The cable will go into the handlebar here and will be completely hidden in the bar. Telling the truth, I don't know whether the slider will slide normally in this rusty pipe or not. So as always in a normal world, all this has to be machined on a lathe and at least not to have backlash. But let's hope that a ton of grease will fix everything. I'll make the internal slider from this 16mm stud. And now less words and more action. Let's just start grinding. Lathe machine level grinder adjustment. The slider is ready, so I started working on small things. Don't ever do like this. Always follow safety precautions. This is a fitting from a tractor fuel system. It'll connect the throttle to the bar and it will also contain the cable tensioner. One day of work and the kit's almost ready for installation. The slider, the pin with external M6 threads and internal M4 threads, brass bushing, the spiral tube, the bearing, M4 screw, and a fitting with the cable tensioner. Just lightly refine the throttle and cut off the bar. Cut the threads in the bar and voila, the throttle is in place. Next, drill the hole in the bar for the cable. I cut off the excess housing and soldered the cable. We can finally assemble it on the bar along with the cable. Besides the cosmetics, we can say that the throttle is finished. That's it, thank you all for watching, bye. Hang on a second, did you really think I wouldn't fire it up and we wouldn't listen to it? You were wrong. But something was wrong with opening the sliders in the carburetors. It is so loud. Carburetors do not respond to idle adjustment, which means the cables are over-tightened and don't have free play. And when I adjusted the cables and gave them free play, the engine began to work properly. I was thinking about finishing the video at this point, but decided to refine the throttle a bit. I'm gonna grind the edges on this fitting and extend this tube up to here so all this is hidden and not visible. Also, I'm gonna grind the bolts on a small bearing so they don't dig into my hand, and I'll have to decide whether to hide this whole mechanism or leave it visible. This is what we got in the end. I ground this fitting down and now it's the same size as this tube. Welded another piece of pipe onto this outer tube to make it longer, and in the end this piece of tube covers the joint, the fitting, and even this joint. That's how it turned out to be. All that remains is to grind these screws down and hold the bearings in place. After this, I lubricated the cables in the throttle and everything started to work like a clock. Maybe in the future I'll shorten it from this end so it's not so long. Well, that's it. The throttle works, everything's fantastic. At first, when we had no free play in the cables, it seemed like it was pulling the carb sliders too lazy-like, meaning an original Dnepr throttle handle pulls the sliders a little more sharply. But then when I adjusted the cables, it turned out that everything was fine and it works just the way it should. And I'm gonna answer a question from comments now. Why didn't you install a ready-made factory handle or didn't just go to eBay and buy an aftermarket one? But this is a custom bike. It's not interesting just to buy it. To tell you the truth, I kinda went for a little ride today, and a suicide clutch is a special thrill. To be honest, I almost hit the wall there, but it doesn't matter. And yes, there will be a video about the first ride as soon as the slush on the streets will disappear. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.